get your perspective on just the landscape as a whole. What are you generally seeing in the cloud space, and how people are really plotting themselves from their virtual environment to cloud and within a software-defined data center?
Sure, JJ. You know, I think Mike's really on the leading edge, if not leading edge of moving to the cloud. I think now we're seeing a real uptick in new cloud deployments among mid to large enterprise users. But from a historical perspective, at the time that Mike's organization first set up a private cloud back in 2010 and even 2011, we were largely seeing enterprise users kind of experimenting at that point. There was lots of interest in the potential advantages of cloud infrastructure and platforms as a service, but relatively few actual deployments beyond, of course, test and dev and SaaS applications. But in the last year, in 2012, we did see a growing number of production infrastructure as a service deployments, both public and private, and a number of those were based on VMware vCloud. And based on what users are telling us about their IT spending plans and priorities for 2013, we think that the initial adoption rate will increase significantly this year, especially among organizations like Mike's that have already virtualized a large percentage of their production applications. They're really seeing now an impetus to take that next step, become more of an IT service broker-enabled organization and move to the cloud. And we think that IT teams responsible for these deployments are going to face a number of challenges. I'm sure we're going to touch on some of those today, but we also think that the success stories out there, like Mike's and Angelo's, will help by providing not just role models, but also best practices, and enable those architects and infrastructure managers who are responsible for deploying the cloud to work through all those obstacles along the way.
That's a great point. Thanks, Jeff. And I think that makes a lot of sense. And I think we'll turn to Neil in a few minutes talking about the journey. But what we find is a lot of customers, the technology is oftentimes the easy step. It's the people and process changes necessary to really take advantage of the technology to benefit from a CapEx and OpEx.